Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Oil and Gas Rundown live here from King Operating right here in beautiful Dallas, Texas. And we're thankful that you're joining us again live, or if you're watching this on a replay, we want to welcome you to King Operating. My name is Rachel Griffith. I'm a Senior Vice President here. And today I am joined with our founder and CEO, Jay Young. Hey, Jay, you out there?
How are you, Rachel?
Perfect. Doing great today. Thank you. We also have our EVP of Operations, Kelly Duncan, with us. Hey, Kelly.
Hey there, Rachel.
Hi. And then we have our EVP of Land and Business Development, Bill Phillips, who is just fixing a technical issue and will be with us shortly. So everybody, thank you. You can always find us at kingoperating.com, learn more about everything that we're doing in U.S. oil and gas, the oil and gas sector here. And we're going to jump into it today, Jay. We are going to be talking about the Mid-Con area, Anadarko Basin, specifically Ochiltree County, where we're drilling. And I want to just talk to you a little bit about, this is a location that we're going to have 3, maybe 4 wells actually drilled and fracked in July. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about why this area has been so attractive to King Operating. What has stood out to you as far as why we are really putting a lot of efforts into this area?
It's a great question, and I tell you, we sit around and talk about it, in our company meetings, and when we talk about strategy, we talk about where should we drill, what's the next 3 to 5 years look like, and I look at Mewburn. Mewburn's a great example of what happened out there. He started drilling wells out in Ochiltree County. There's been 7,000 wells drilled in Ochiltree County alone. 7,000. That's a lot of wells and a lot of data points, a lot of places to tell you where there is oil and obviously where there isn't oil. And that's not our game. Is let's hit singles and doubles. Let's go in here and let's drill some good, wells that you can get a 2-to-1 return on at $70 oil, and not have to worry about, are you going to hit or not? Are you going to have the same mistakes that we've made before in the past? And we don't want to make those mistakes anymore. We want these funds to be the best. And we started looking at Ochiltree and this whole area, and we're going to go into Oklahoma as well, because we want to have good places for our investors to predict what returns will be. So we're leasing up a lot of acreage, and I know that Bill can talk more about this. He's in the day-to-day. But he is our landman. You have a geologist that okays the location and finds it, and an engineer that will tell you, like Kelly, that says, I don't think so, or I don't know if this price oil. It's like the positive and the realist and I don't know what you call it. Me and my wife, really. I'm the optimist, and I love everything, and she's always like, no, I don't think so. I don't think that's a good idea, or I don't think that's, That's kind of how the oil and gas business is. And especially when they find it, one's optimistic and the other one's, Steve Mulligan says, I'm realistic. Okay. But then Bill goes and finds the land. And when we drilled a couple of wells a few years ago out there, we found out it was extremely, simple. It's not like you have to drill, 2 miles underneath the ground and 4 miles lateral. I mean, they're not expensive wells. They're good, solid wells that you can drill one after another. We're drilling our 3rd well right now. We've set pipe on 2. And like you said, we're going to go back in and complete these wells in the next, 20 days or so. We'll have completion rigs out there. We'll be completing 1 well at a time, and clients will make money. You'll have money generated every month, for a new well out there, and it's not as hard to drill and complete and not as expensive as a Permian well that will cost, $20,000-$30,000 an acre, plus they're more expensive, and it's just a bigger boys game. This is where we want to go now, because we could literally drill 12 wells this year, 24 wells next year, and have a really good divestiture, ADD, acquire, develop, and divest. We could have a really good divestiture by the end of this year or by the end of next year. We're putting ourselves in a place to have a divestiture every year by selling J units, and we could have our 2026 first J unit 2026 divestiture with 6 to 7 wells and sell a portion of those to get client returns back. So we found that this is a great place to drill where you can predict pretty much the volumes of oil and gas that you're going to produce. And you can also look at these like we can have several of them. Like I said, we can have 5, 6 this year. We can drill 12 wells this year, 24 wells next year. We can have a really good divestiture by the end of next year is what we're looking at. So I love the area, and I'm just looking at other people that have done things just like us. Mewbourne, 5 years ago was raising about as much money as we were. Now they have $2 billion a year budgets. They got 20 rigs running in the Permian Basin. They've grown up big time in a really fast way, and that's where I'd like to go with the company. And so I think it's a great way to start instead of going out and trying to spend $1 billion on acreage and then $1 billion trying to drill a few wells a year. Let's just go in here and do the right thing for our clients, and that is drilling infield wells where based on offset production where wells have been drilled, what they've done, whether vertical or horizontal. Put together the J units where you put together acreage for 3 wells and drill one of them, sell the 2 offsetting locations with your well that you're producing, and have some good divestitures for clients. So we're really excited, or I'm really excited about the financial part. I mean, you talk to the other guys about the geology and the rock and offsetting locations, but just the overall strategy for our clients and where we're going. I really love the area, and I know there's a lot of big companies, public companies out there that want to take advantage of somebody like us when we drill up, a lot of wells in this area. So I think it's a win-win. It's a win-win for us because it's not far, and we love the area, and we're up there. We have a field office in Perryton with our field guy Lewis, and but we also know the area, and we feel very comfortable drilling wells out there, and also either continuing to operate up there, but having a divestiture of some kind because of the financial parts of having the best. I want to make this the best investment that a client can ever have, and by having write-offs, monthly income, and divestitures, we feel like this is the best financial decision that anybody's ever made, and that's my goal. Whether or not we accomplish that or not, I mean, it's kind of hard to predict some things, but that is my goal. Every day I think about that. I think about the financial part and what can we do for our clients.
Absolutely, Jay. Yeah. No, we're excited to be up in that area, as you talked about. Great opportunity for our partners, for investors, and a lot of success, like you said. I mean, 7,000 wells. I think that's just, Kelly, you and me have talked about this area before. I mean, 7,000, the whole Anadarko Basin has had a lot of success, but I know it kind of narrows down into what we would say mid-con, then Ochiltree County. But maybe can you just highlight a little bit more, Kelly, about the background of that area?
Yes, it's again in one of those areas that's been developed over the years. 80s and 90s were definitely a vertical world, and it's several formations, Marmington, Cleveland, the other formation tops, Oswego, are really beneficial and horizontal. As Jay mentioned, Mewbourne and a few other companies have been real successful turning those wells from vertical to horizontal. And again, depths aren't crazy deep, so cost-effective wells. I spent a lot of time reviewing these designs versus other areas, well design, casing design, and these are 2 to 3 string wells, quick drilling, 2 weeks to 3 week drill wells. So really, they're not capital intensive. You can put the energy into them, the effort, repeatable results on both mechanical, operational, and even on production. And like Jay said, because there's enough known control in the area with all those 7,000 wells, we're not lost. We know where we're at. We've got great tie-in. My geology team, our main geologist in this area is Panhandle born and bred. He knows the area well. He's got all the local geology and field geologists to work with us. So there's a wealth of knowledge out here. but not as competitive as the Permian Basin per se, but a wealth of knowledge that we can use to benefit to really be operationally efficient out here and get more bang for our buck.
Yeah. So walk me through a little bit, Kelly. You know, we've been over in Bivens Ranch and now we're over in Ochiltree. Walk me through a little bit some of the exact steps that you take when you are, you know, going into this area for the first time and kind of drawing out, you know, whether it's information about drill sites, what type of bait you're going to use, how is it different from other areas, maybe just some of the actual basic steps you take when you're, you know, before you've got rigs out there, then up to when you actually start drilling.
Like you said, pre-planning is key to all this. So geology first, reservoir kind of second, and then operations jumps in the middle of all that. And early on, I kind of act as an orchestra coordinator on this type thing. You know, getting pieces of the puzzle from each team. One of my favorite things is your best drilling teams and operations teams are drill by closeology or engineering by closeology, I call it. So we do a wealth of information, pull public data from the Railroad Commission for a couple different software programs that really just have a ton of data on the existing wells. So that helps us pick casing points, hole sizes, and all that. So months before you drill your first well. It's probably 6 months of research in the area, researching geology, some logs up back to I had a log on my desk the other day for a well drilled in 1948. You know what I mean? So that's early data that our geology team used. Of course, there's luckily data from the 2000s and whatnot they've been able to digitize. So we get a real good picture of the area. We get one of the most important things successful in these horizontal wells is staying in zone, right, in our target window. We're blessed here to have a pretty decent thickness target zone, but it's also important to, along the way in the lateral, to be able to stay in zone. So we have a lot of control because of all these existing vertical wells and the horizontals. So we do a lot of work on planning the well path. Back to your casing design. Again, I said I use public data. I use knowledge of existing wells to really help pick those casing points based on log work done years ago. See some successes. Definitely look for wells that were challenging that you can find in public record. See what they did right, wrong, indifferent, and learn from that stuff. So a lot of it's absorbing the offset data. So even us, we're not swathing through the county. We're doing a kind of called checkerboard. We got a well here, southwest corner, well north side, well 4 miles over here. So each one of those areas, as we plan a new well, I do pull the immediate research data and compare, make sure that things haven't changed, even though we're only 12 or so miles away. I want to make sure the wells that you can see in the 2 to 3 mile radius, what challenges they had, what successes they had. Then I build a database. A lot of that is if I can get the bit records and all that type of information, mud records on these wells. I build what we call a pace setter or a template, and I really have which helps us on the cost design also, right? Both the well design and also cost design. So because in drilling world especially, time is money. We think about it by the day. So if I can estimate a well's cost based on a 14-day well versus a 21-day well, obviously that's going to affect costs. Casing points, each time you add a casing string, which a lot of times is dictated by the well design and geology, costs more money. So to optimize our casing design, which is a big part of what we do, our hole sizes, really lean hard on local talent, both in our field personnel, and because we're not in the middle of the Permian Basin here, we're not just, we're not a hop, skip, and jump away from all the headquarters in Midland and Odessa. I definitely look for vendors that specialize in this area. The logistics is a challenge out here, timing wise, time and money. So I really lean hard on vendors based out of the Panhandle in Oklahoma that both have experience in this area, which is not the Permian Basin. A lot of rock and drilling characteristics that are different here, but also have and because of that, their closeness, they have the knowledge that the vendors share back with me, data they've collected over years and years of work for Newborn and other operators in the area, but also just because their proximity, right? The crews are close, turnaround times aren't bad, fuel usage is not as bad. So if I can keep crews that are within 2 hours of me, it makes a huge difference in the well design and the well cost of the well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I want to ask you another question, Kelly, because I'm here to get information from you about oil and gas that people may not understand, and provide on wherever people are watching this, a good educational bit. So you keep using the term casing design, and I want you to explain more about the casing and the casing design, because people watching, for you, it's so natural and normal, but explain what you mean about the casing design.
Yes, ma'am. Gladly. So casing design is kind of the basis, and all things that go that well design is the basis of any drilling engineer's design parameters, and really dictates time, money, and everything else. And we actually design wells from the end back to the beginning. So I sit down with the geology team. I sit down with the completions team, which in this case happens to be me. I sit down with the reservoir team, and especially the production team. And I collect kind of pools of data from each one of those groups. I put a pros and cons sheet together, and we look at what we're trying to accomplish here. So once I know what our hole sizes need, what we need to do especially in these in the lateral, what hole size I need to be able to move fluids long term, oil, gas, and water, not just day one, but day 1001 to 10 years later. So we design casing, and casing is exactly that. It is 40-ish foot joints of pipe that we string together, require integrity. So I carry, where's my magic book? I got books laying all around here that we call the Magic Red Book. I got casing design books laying all around. There's tables and tables and tables of steel data, of the hole sizes, the pipe sizes, internal diameter, external diameter, and one of the real important things is the metallurgy to that. So, common term you'll hear in our world is P110. 110 being 110,000 pound casing, tensile strength. And that really dictates, and because I'm the completion department also, I look at what pressures and earth and mother nature forces that are going to be applied on that pipe over time. And I use all that data, and I go to the tables, and of course I have all the almighty dollar tied into that as well. And I try to pick the strongest casing I can get for the most cost effectiveness. So, and then from that, I have to build bit sizes based on that. So we pick these wells with 4.5 inch casing, so just a little under 6 inches here. But to be able to get that 4.5 inch casing in the hole, I need a 6 inch plus hole. So I know from 4.5 inch casing that I'm going to use 6 1/8 inch bit, so I plan my bit design and my well behavior and my mud program and all those things based on those hole sizes, the amount of rock I'm going to cut out of the ground, and all that. And then as I told you, we start at the bottom and work our way up. So I know that I got to get that 6 1/8 inch bit down to the fresh rock, because we have multiple springs in a well, service casing, in our case, immediate casing, and then production casing. To be able to fit that 6 1/8 inch bit, that's how I calculate the casing string above it, right? So in this case, intermediate. Well, I know that I need a 6 1/8 inch bit, so I know I can't run 6 inch casing in it because the inside would be 5 inch. So I run, in our case, 7 inch casing, but I'm limited to what thickness that casing can be, because no matter what, I have to have the ability inside the diameter of the pipe to get the hole through. And the other thing is not only casing size and strength, but also where to set it. And that's really where the reservoir geology side of this comes in. There's curves of the earth as we go deeper, obviously, like no different than swimming in a pool, right? When you jump to the bottom of a diving pool, your earth's going to pop. That's because you're seeing pressure. Same thing happens here as we get deeper in the earth. There's pressures of our fluid column, there's pressures of the earth itself, and I have to design those casing strings to stop them, go to the next size based on that. So it's hole size, metallurgical strength, and points in space where you can fit those pipes and also have them not survive the 40, 50-year life of well.
Wow, there we go. Casing design
101.
Next time we'll make you have some illustrations and slides for that as well.
I have them. I'll make sure to have them next time for you. Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. All right, well, Bill, I want to jump over to you now, because, as Kelly mentioned, he's going through all these things with geologists and data points, but of course, he's really got nowhere to work if it's not for your team, right? You guys actually have to go out and find locations, acquire them, and I want you to go ahead and talk us through a little bit about what that looks like in the beginning stages of identifying the location. What kind of permits do you need to get? What are you guys looking for specifically? I know you and Aaron have been working a lot up in that area and have put together quite a lot of acreage so far. So maybe just walk people through that basic understanding of what those first steps look like.
Right. So let me back up just a little bit. Jay was right. It takes a small team, small army sometime to put together a drilling prospect, and it includes geologists, engineers, senior management, and of course land. And we're going to move on to the land part. So you've had a geologist put us in the right area or location of the county that we want to be in. In this case, King had legacy assets in the Texas Panhandle, a big portion of which were in Ochiltree County. That's where we are. We've had engineers look not only at drilling wells, but at running economics on many of the locations we're trying to lease. Geology has fine-tuned it to where we're looking at acreage right around and close by to the legacy assets, as well as stepping out a little bit. So we're charged with exploiting what we have and growing. To do that, you create a development plan that includes budgets and an outline of where we need to be in the county. And then the key thing is executing that plan to a successful well. So on the land side, before you can ever put a bit in the ground and drill a well, you have to have it leased. So at any given time on the early part of the process, we have a team of contract landmen in the field, and that could range from like 3 or 4 people on up to I've had as many as 30, depending upon where you are. The kind of land it is it fee, meaning we all own it individually, or is it federal or state? So you put all of that together, you try to lease the sections where we want to drill the well, and you have to have a lease that covers the entire length of the well bore. These are all horizontal wells. So in the olden days, you could get away with just leasing 40 acres and drilling 1 well per every 40 acres. But now we're looking at leasing full sections, which is 640 acres, put several of those together, and drill a well that may be 5,000 feet long, the lateral that is, or up to 2 sections or about 10,000 feet. But before you actually spend hard-earned money to drill the wells, you've got to make sure that you own the leases and all of the drilling rights, the mineral rights underneath it. So that includes doing a lot of title work in the courthouse, making sure that the people who sign the lease actually own all the minerals that they claim to own, and you should never lease it without knowing that up front, but still you still do a lot of continued due diligence and research. Once you compile enough acreage to drill a well, and this is very simplistic, then you give all of that data to your oil and gas lawyer, and he renders what's called a drilling title opinion. That opinion will tell you who owns the surface, the minerals, and the rights to drill. And if there's any issues with any of the owners, for example, Aunt Joe didn't file, she passed away and her interest went to 5 kids, but if she didn't file probate in the county, you have to make sure that you do that, so title vests in the people who actually own the minerals today. All of that said and done, before you can actually move in on the surface, you have to have an agreement with the surface owner, which usually is not hard to do, but you have to negotiate with multiple surface owners, sometimes just one. For example, in the Bivens Ranch, we have one surface owner, covers 27,000 acres. The acreage over in the Panhandle in Ochiltree County, you may have one surface owner per 640, or you may have smaller tracts within it. You may have 4 or 5 surface owners. But you have to deal with all of these people, which we do. And once that's done, then we have a registered professional surveyor to survey the location, the route in, and you have to have a registered survey to file with your drilling permits. We have a fellow that locally that will file our drilling permits in Austin with the Texas Railroad Commission, as well as get other requisite permits that may be required, like a water board letter or anything else required to drill the well. So once all of that's said and done and you've paid surface damages, we get the drilling permit, the W-1 from the Railroad Commission. At that point, you can go in and begin dirt work on building the pad and the road. All of that's coordinated with the drilling department because the pad has to be the right size. They have to be able to use the road that's being built in. So none of this is done in a vacuum. It's all done real time, not only with the engineers, but the geologists, coordinated with senior management to make sure that all the steps are taken and in the right manner and you don't miss anything. That's a very simplistic view, and it happens day after day.
One more question. That was actually a really good outline, Bill. So once you've gone through all of that, I mean, what is the normal timeline? And I'm sure it varies from location to location, but say, for instance, in Ochiltree County where we're working, I mean, what is kind of a timeline from start to where Kelly's able to spud that first well?
Okay, it will depend. If it's a lease that we already own, that saves you probably 2 months on the timeline. If we have to lease it from scratch, where we did not own any of the leases before, it could easily take you a month to do title work, depending upon how complex the title is. The mineral title is what we're concerned about. You're always concerned about the surface because that's who sees us out there on the property. And sometimes the minerals and the surface are the same, but quite often they're not. And so that process to run title on a track, say it takes a month. To take a lease from from one owner or maybe 5 owners or 20 owners, that could take easily could take another month. So you're 2 to 3 months from, say, start till you've actually got a lease. Some is a little quicker than that. Some you may spend 6 months on. If the mineral owner is a local farmer or rancher, that's generally better. If you're in the Permian Basin, say in Midland County, a lot of the minerals are owned by what we call pros or professionals, and they're already in the business. So to do a deal with them is quite often a little more challenging, a little harder. And in certain areas of the state, like in South Texas and the Eagle Ford, the Haynesville in East Texas, and over in the Permian Basin, you may never really interact with your mineral owner very much. What you will interact with is your mineral owner's lawyer, because a lot of people have hired an oil and gas lawyer to represent them. So if that occurs, then that process takes a little longer. To get an agreement with a surface owner, a couple of weeks to a month maybe, depending upon is it in the middle of an irrigation system, or are there crops growing? Is it in the middle of a deer lease where certain times of the year you're not allowed to drill? A lot of different things come to play, but to be where we are in Ochiltree County, I would say a month to run title, a month or two to acquire the lease, to do the rest of it, the permitting and more could easily be, I don't know, another 2 to 4 months perhaps. So it just depends upon where you are, who's there, what's happened before. So you could easily spend anywhere from 3 to 6 months from start to finish. So,
Well, that's
and
perfect, Bill.
every track is different.
You guys have given us a great in-depth scope of what it looks like to be out in Ochiltree County. And as we mentioned, Jay, we've got wells that are going in right now, preparing for the frac in July. Very excited to be out there, get some fresh production online for our partners. Anything you want to add to that, Jay, before we wrap it up?
I mean, the only thing I think about, and I was thinking about with Kelly and Bill, and I mean, I know we don't have the geologist here, but just thinking about the time, and we're going to drill, we look to drill 12 wells this year and 24 next year, and during the same time frame, you can't drill as many Bivens wells. It takes 3 months literally to drill those wells in Bivens, and it's just a lot. There's a lot more to them, and they're a lot more expensive. And we'll if we do everything we say we're going to do this year so far, it's going to be like $100 million we're going to spend. Well, that's 12 wells, $75 million in Mid-Con, and another $25 million to drill 2 wells in the Bivens Ranch. So even though the Bivens Ranch is a 60,000 acre, that's a huge acreage position. And it's easier once you get the lease to keep up with the landowners, ranchers, whatever. It's a lot easier, but the land situation is a lot. So Bill, being the senior landman, took the Bivens and gave the other to Aaron. So Aaron's got to deal with all these other landowners and leases and everything else. And I'm just kidding. I'm not saying that in a bad way. But Aaron's the younger generation and millennial, if you will, and he's the one that's having to contact, and he's got 6 land brokers, and he talks to Bill, all the time, but day to day, Aaron's on it, and Aaron's done a great job in acquiring leases, and it takes a long time to catch the first one and get that first one going, but then once you get there and you get the second one, the third one, the fourth one, you see some other acreage line up. I mean, we've been very proactive in getting additional acreage positions up there so we can, take advantage of this and do the right thing for our investors.
Absolutely, Jay. Well, we're out of time today. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, joining, and watching us live, or if you're watching this on the replay, please make sure to go to kingoperating.com and check out just what we're doing for our investors in oil and gas and investing here at King Operating, the opportunities that we have up in Ochiltree County in our COP3 fund right now. And of course, check out Jay's book, Upside of Oil and Gas Investing, published by Forbes Books. You can find that on Amazon. You can reach out to us at kingoperating.com. And we will be here same time next week, next Wednesday. Make sure to join us. Thank you, gentlemen, for being with me today.
Thank you, Rachel. Great job, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.